Hi everyone, welcome back to Grandpa Mark's Hobbies and a build final of the 32 Ford 5-window coupe 2 and 1 kit from Revell. This was a blast of a kit to build. Everything pretty much went together nice and smooth. I did have some trouble with the engine and I did have a little bit of trouble with the bumpers, but just because I got big fingers. Duke and Chandler worked real hard on this engine, and we got it wired with spark plug wires. I'm going to try to focus or come in here as close as I can. We got our spark plug wires run. We have our throttle linkage, throttle cable, return spring on this side all done. Use the chrome alternator. I left it chrome. I got my water hose in, my cap and everything. And let me get Chandler out of here. He's done enough for us. Let me turn this bad boy around. Oh, sorry, Duke. And on this side, again, we got all our wires run. I added the coil right here to the engine because I didn't want to bury it on the firewall. And honestly, if I did, I'd have a hard time getting the coil wire in. So that's where that got strapped down. You can see I got my throttle wires run, and I told you in the last build update, let me grab my tweezers here. I did a little Mod Podge right here where this fuel line runs down the rail to go to this fuel line. And what I did is when I Mod Podge dried, I just tapped it with a little bit of gold leaf, Tamiya's gold leaf paint. And doesn't that look just like a T-fitting? I think so. Close enough for government work, right? So here we go. Let me back out of here. Take a good look. I got the headlights lit and I just lost my trunk. Which is okay because I want to show you how I got the headlights lit. Check it out. Tell me that doesn't look cool as heck. This is the first car that I ever put LEDs in, and I'll be honest with you, this was not the first or the car that I should have used first because I had a hard time just figuring out where to bury these lines. And let me bring you all the way around the back, and then I'll flip this thing upside down and show you how I buried them. But what I did is I took an old tea light that the wife had. I cut the LED off. It was a flicker LED, so there was no circuit board in this tea light. That means I could just take the two lines and run them positive and negative and not worry about disconnecting any circuit board or any garbage like that. So now I got a CR2032 battery and an on-off switch. So I can turn this thing on and off. And the cool thing about this is it's kind of on a timer where it'll run for 8 hours and then shut off and then come back around and it'll run for 8 hours again on the same time. So when you start it is when it'll come back on the next day. Really cool there. Now, let me see to flip this. You know what? I'm going to turn you off just so I don't shake the heck out of everybody and get everybody seasick. So I'll be right back. Okay, we are back and the car is upside down. Now let me show you what I did here, and I'm going to start all the way in the back. Well, no, let me start up front here. And what I did, as you can see, is I dropped the LEDs down through the little holes in the fenders here, and then I took Mod Podge, and I made a dab of Mod Podge, and then came up this way with it. And when that was dry, I painted it black, and I think that looks pretty good for like one of those rubber grommets that you'd see doing a pass-through. And then I painted it black going to there, come down, and then you see where I went just bare. On this side, I went underneath the over top of the transmission and back around. The other side, I came from here, and you can see I got a little bit of light bleed, but not much at all. But I came around underneath the brake line, right here, come up, and then I came over top of this. And now if I was thinking, and if you ever want to do this, instead of doing that, just take this and come from here, come past where the suspension's going to be, drill a hole in it and run it down underneath this framework here. Then you can go under this, where by the time I got this all set up, my exhaust was in the way and it just wouldn't go right. Either side, you can see how tight this is right here. But if I did it first on the inside and came down, it would have ran just right along like where that brake line goes. I'm sorry, the fuel line goes, comes down and across, instead of all this. But anyhow, they both come together. I drilled a hole through here, and then I brought it out and down, all the way underneath the muffler, all the way to the back, and I just dropped it in the trunk. Boom, right there. And it looks like it's supposed to be here. This is the fuel line that runs up here, my brake lines. And see, I did a little copper on the end of the brake line too, where it runs into the rotor, or into the caliper. Make it look a little nicer there. I even put a little bit of gold here to simulate that seal that goes right there. I was having fun that day. This is my brake line. It ties in, and like I said, I made a little fitting there with the Mod Podge, and then I run both sides here and across over to here. No emergency brakes on this one. But that's how I ran the wires, and it wasn't as hard as I thought it was going to be, but it wasn't that easy either, just thinking of the way to how to get it. But anyhow, I want to thank everyone for all your kind words and everything as I was building this. It really helped, all the comments and ideas. I would have done the Ford engine on this. I'm glad that I was asked to do the Chrysler engine, because I wouldn't have, and it was a challenge, to be honest with you. The headers don't fit right underneath here. They just barely fit, and a few other things that made it a challenge, but it's doable, and it was fun doing it, to be honest with you. And then going to wire it, I always wanted to wire Hemi. Now I want to get another one to do. The inside was really fun to do too. I did that two-tone in there. The piston stick shift is really cool. I even put a little shift pattern on there. I didn't use the decals inside. Don't know if this will focus on there or not. I didn't use the decals, and I'm glad I didn't, because I had fun doing that, and I learned a lot. And I've learned a lot from everybody that was commenting and just giving me ideas. I really appreciate it. But anyhow, let's get to some music and some pictures of the finished coupe. Thanks again, everybody.